All right, guys, welcome back. I want to show you a really cool tool that I've used for many years called WhiteSpark CA Local Citation Finder. It does require a monthly subscription. It's about 20 bucks, but well worth it if you're building a lot of listings. What it does is it's going to allow us to spy on our competition. We can use key phrase search, so we can type in keywords, obviously, and then we can basically figure out who's ranking for what. And what citations they're using. I like to use a business search. So let me just show you how I do this. So in my case, I'm looking at trying to rank for the term Irvine divorce attorney. So this is who's in the top spot. The Maggio firm is in the top spot. So the citation finder is going to ask me for information. And it says that city region format is best. I'm going to put Irvine, California. You can see it just auto completes it for you anyway. And then I want to pick up the Maggio firm's phone number, like that. Business name, the Maggio firm, obviously. Okay, so we're going to add that right here. That didn't work. Hang on one second. Let's get rid of this little screen down here, go back, and we just want to copy that. Maggio firm. Okay, I'm just going to, I don't need to assign it to a project because I'm just going to show you what happens. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit here. I'm going to hit pause, and then I'm going to come back and show you the results, okay? Take me just 1 second here. Okay, so we're back. It shows that it's quote unquote spinning up the hamster. I have no idea what that means, but you know, they are Canadian, so not to offend any of my Canadian friends out there. But now these guys are actually super funny. Some of their searches actually will just make you laugh because the stuff they have pre-programmed in is super funny. So it in like a minute or something, it returned 148 results. This is pretty much every citation that the Maggio firm has. So the reason we're going to use this is that, you know, obviously we're going to go out and we're going to go to Marketer's Center and we're going to go after the big citation package. And maybe we go to Bright Local and we get more big citations. Maybe we've gotten rich media citations. We've gotten local and niche specific citations. Okay, so where do we go from there? You know, we realize that our competition's doing better than us. This will tell us exactly how to spy on our competition, where they have all their citations, basically. So you can see, I'll just show you right here. Obviously, this is a major structured citation source, yellowpages.com, white pages, same thing, local.yahoo, same thing. And then we can go down, you know, the list, and we can compare what we've already done to what we haven't done, what our competitor has, and then we can go out and try to build a citation to it. Now, in some cases, it's going to say submit your business, where it actually knows the URL to go to. Like, for instance, watch this. I've never even heard of this, but mojo.myfoxla. I'm guessing that's a Fox affiliate in Los Angeles. If I hit submit business, it should actually take me to... no, I guess it's not. Yeah, it is actually My Fox LA. So it's not exactly Irvine, but it's, you know, in close proximity, Los Angeles, California. Look, free business listing with Mojo. And I could enter my phone number, find my business. It's probably not going to find my business. And then I can add it for free. And so that's the huge benefit of this stuff. You know, you might be building these yourself. You might get to the point where you have a very trusted resource who builds them for you. This is the list they're going to work from. They're going to go down the list, and where it says tell us your submit URL, it's going to say we don't know the URL. Tell us what it is. So what you'd want to do is go dig around and figure out, how do I add to divorceattorney.news or /news /news.com. How do I add something to that? And you'd want somebody to be able to figure that out. You know, look at this here. This is a good link. Irvine, California. let's see, what's the name of the site? All companies in Irvine, California. It's an Irvine, California directory that's going to let us submit a listing. Now, we don't know exactly where to do it, but I'm guessing you just go to add company, and that's really it. You know, now sometimes I'll warn you, it's not always completely accurate, meaning that sometimes you'll have to pay for these listings. Most of the time they're free, but this is a freaking great listing to have because it's going to be right in Irvine, California. You know, it's going to add it to the directory side of Irvine My Local Biz, and you know, it's something that's worthwhile having. So hang on one second, and I will get back to the problem. Okay, so that's a good listing to have. I mean, it's an Irvine local geo-specific listing. And we'd want to go down the line. Look at all these niche-specific listings that, you know, you're not going to get if you just order normal citations that give you Yelp and Super Pages, Yellow Pages, White Pages. You're not going to find things like Divorce Lawyer Directory or dir.com. And, you know, who knows? I don't know if this costs money or not. I'm assuming you can just add a listing. Sometimes they'll charge. So look, here it's $19.97 a year for the listing. So stuff like that is worthwhile having. You know, is the site super authoritative? Not really. I mean, it's domain authority 18. Does it really matter when it comes to citations? Not as much. You know, we're not putting a link here necessarily, although in some cases we will be. We'll be able to put, we are actually able to put a URL. But remember, we're doing this primarily for citations and trying to compete with what our top competitor has out there. And we know that this firm is listed on this site right here. So we might as well be listed there as well. Now, obviously we have a budget. So we're going to have to pick and choose which ones are the best ones to submit paid listings to. But in terms of free listings, I mean, I would just go through this and check out everything. You know, obviously Yelp, you're going to get submitted to when you do any citation package for the most part. So we don't care about stuff like that. But lawyersus.org, that might be a good site. I don't know. So we would check that out. And you can see, you know, it's just a directory style site. And if I click on this listing right here, let's see kind of what it gives us. It gives us a little, you know, area to put a description. Let's see if it has name, address, and phone number. So it says phone number, email. I don't see really a spot here to put the name, address, and phone number. You might be able to do it. I don't know. So you'd have to explore that. So you're going to want to go down the line here and look for geo-specific, niche-specific, things that are really outside the box of what you can purchase. And this is going to allow us to go out and get these built. And this is, by the way, the process and the list that WhiteSpark is going to use when we tell it to go build niche and geo-specific citations. It's going to run reports on, you know, what do you have currently, what are you missing in relation to your competition, and how many did you purchase? And it's going to go down the list and try to build listings to all of these. And then, as I mentioned before, it'll send you a list in the end saying we were able to build, you know, whatever, 30 or 50 niche and local citations. We found 30 more that are left that you can build. You know, so if you really want them to do it, you can do it. Or if you want to outsource it, you can. Again, be very, very careful about who you use to outsource, because I've seen them screw it up. I've used outsourcers. I've used virtual assistants. I've used supposed experts in citation building who frankly screw things up big time. They just are not careful enough in the way that they structure the address, the name, address, and phone number listings, where they're off a little bit or they're off a lot a bit, and it just really messes things up. So this is a really, really cool tool. I suggest you run it on, you know, your top 1 or 2 or 3 competitors and do a comparison of what you're missing and try to figure out the low-hanging fruit of things that are easy to get, you know, where it's, I go to the page and it tells me, you know, add a business listing, and by the way, it's free. and maybe it takes me 3 minutes to do. You know, in that case, I might just take all of these, and I have in fact taken those before where I'll just grab the list, and I think there's an export feature somewhere. Yeah, you can export as CSV, and I would export all of them to CSV, and then I would either delete the ones that I already have or put a star next to the ones that I want created, hire a VA, give them very specific instructions that it has to be exact, and let them go out and build these extra citations. If you really want, Whitespark is going to do an absolutely fantastic job. A lot of times, whenever possible, they're going to get you a rich media citation with your photos included. So when you place your order, you're going to fill out an Excel spreadsheet, and you're going to then email them, I forget, 5 or 10 of your photos, and guess which photos we're going to use? All of our geotagged photos are going to continue to go out on these sites. So, you know, to drive the point home, it's not just about quantity, it's about the quality that, you know, your competition has. And if you look, there's a lot of niche stuff. There's a lot of lawyer types of directories. You know, there's your general sites, Hot Frog and Yelp and all this other stuff. But, you know, here's another Irvine, California site. That kind of stuff really, really helps. And most of your competition doesn't have that. So make sure that you go through lists like these. And Whitespark, you know, maybe other providers do this, but Whitespark's the only one I know of where you can run a report on a specific competitor or competitors and go out and build citations on every one of their sites to the extent possible. If they're unstructured citations that they've created somehow because it happens to reside on a blog that they own or something like that, obviously you're not going to get a citation there. But for the most part, it's just stuff that they've figured out and they've gone out and built citations on. So for you to compete, you need to get in the position where you have the exact same set, as many as possible, plus the ones that you've added, you know, that you've purchased, plus all your own local and niche citations. And then you're really going to outdo them from a citation perspective. We still have the other factor to compete with, which is their domain authorities through the roof, and they're ranking #1. And this particular local 3-pack happens to follow exactly the order of, you know, the maps order follows the organic order. So, you know, you still have to really be super on your game from an organic perspective. Again, I'll drop a link to our mastermind called Local Profit Breakthrough, where Mark walks you through really every step that you need so that your site is in such great shape before you ever even build a link to it, that many times, and I've followed Mark's process a lot of times myself, many times my sites will index on page 2 before I've done anything to it at all, just because I followed, you know, all the proper instructions of how to set up a site properly, how to do all the on-site optimization properly. And most people get that wrong. And then I start powering it up with regular citations, and boom, next thing I know, it's at the top of page 2 very quickly. And so instead of me having to wait for months to possibly rank in the 3-pack, I might be able to get there in a month because my site is indexed at the top of page 2, and I've got all my citations in order, and suddenly, you know, my listing's dialed in. I've done the other things we've talked about where we've got, you know, all of our accounts tied together, and suddenly I'm in the 3-pack, you know, in a month. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating. This has happened over and over and over again. So you really need to understand not only how citations impact the process, but how to structure your site, how to silo a site properly, how to interlink pages together in the correct way using the right types of anchor text so that Google views you as a very viable site and wants to index you higher, so that when we actually start adding citations, it's, you know, it's like rocket fuel. It can take that thing to the top of page 2 very quickly without doing any real quote unquote link building. And next thing we know, we're on maps. Well, you know, it may take a little bit longer for our organic listing to catch up and be on page 1. We have a maps result that we can leverage and we can start making money off of because we're getting phone calls, all that good stuff. So do not overlook the importance of having your on-site stuff dialed in. So definitely check out our Local Profit Breakthrough course. It will really open your eyes and get you started on the right path of how to do local SEO correctly. I'll see you over in the next video. Take care. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about a question that I get all the time, which is, what do I do when I have multiple physical locations? Oftentimes you'll work with businesses who have multiple physical locations. They have satellite offices where they have true locations. So it's not a service-based business that serves multiple locations. We're talking about a physical business who happens to have an office in this city and in this city. You know, it could be 10 cities, 20 cities, whatever. And really, it's very, very simple. We still want to, in each instance, we're going to still set up a Google Maps listing the exact same way that I've showed you. It's just that we're going to have multiple listings. So for each location, each physical location, we can have a separate Google Maps listing. So if Red Hill Family Law had, 10 different cities, for instance, where it had satellite offices, I'm going to go through the process of setting up a listing in each brand new location. And the only thing that's going to change, obviously, is the address. And then we're going to go in, and each time we're going to add a new city level page. So let's say that they had an office in Long Beach. We could do it a couple different ways. We could do just add Long Beach, and we would have, really, let's say, content about divorce, family law, etc. So basically, what we're going to have here is, these are satellite location guys, so we're not necessarily going to be creating multiple topic area pages that link all over to Long Beach, because we have multiple pages we are trying to get ranked here. So in our first example, we had all these topic pages that directly tied back to our categories. And we're going to do that in our listing still, meaning that we're going to choose the same categories in our listing. It's just that our address will be different. We're going to have Red Hill Family Law with 123 Beach Street in Long Beach, California, and all of our categories will remain the same. And we've already done the heavy lifting for, again, sort of having pages or topic pages that tie in to those category listings. So we don't have to repeat that process. I hope that makes sense. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to create a city-specific page. And what I would want to do is mix a bunch of content all about family law. So we would have, stuff about divorce, family law, child support, whatever. All of these pages in the middle of the article, by the way, could link over to the main page on divorce, the main page on family law, main page on child support. And I encourage you to do that. Interlink those things. It just, it spreads around the link juice. It's good. It's a great user experience because people are reading about, this content and they want to learn more because it's more truncated content. It's, what we're doing is we're basically creating a summary level article that covers all these topic areas on one page, whereas our main topic page on divorce has a lot of information on divorce. Our main topic area on family law has a lot of information on family law. So we're going to want to interlink these by linking over to the main topic page. So remember, we've already created a page called Family Law Attorney. We've already created a page called Divorce Lawyer. Even though that was our home page, we created that. we created a child support page. We created a child custody page called /lawyer, if you recall. All that remains the same because in each new listing, all we're doing is changing out the address and phone number. And the categories remain the same, which are going to tie into the category pages we've created. So I hope that makes sense. So the other thing I would do is, from a rankings perspective, is I would have 2 to 3 paragraphs at the beginning or end about Long Beach. It's really important when you're doing city level pages to have some content about that city. Because, you know, what we're doing is we're creating, like I said, a truncated topic level page, but we really want it to be seen as also about all these services being performed in the city of Long Beach. And if we just tell Google that, hey, my title tag is Long Beach divorce attorney, that's not necessarily enough. What I like to do is always mix summary level content with a little bit about that actual city, and then, like I said, interlink these over to our main topic pages. Now, let me just show you real quick what we're going to do with respect to the 3 pieces of information that I showed you. So recall that in an earlier video, I showed you how to, in the footer, put these 3 pieces of information. We always want to have our Google badge, or at least a link over to our Google Plus page, our map for Google Maps, and then our schema markup. So really none of that changes, with the exception of we do not want it in the footer at all when there are multiple locations. It's got to go on the page. So that's really, really important to remember. So all we're going to do is the exact same thing. We're going to follow this same kind of pattern. And what I would do, let me just hit publish on this. And then I'm going to really quickly go over to appearance widgets. And I'm going to grab my schema code so I don't have to rework it. I think it's in here, our location. So I'm going to hit Control A to highlight all of it, Control C. I'm going to go back to my Long Beach page, and let's search for that right here, hit edit, and then under the text version, not the visual version, because you're pasting in HTML code, I'm going to say at the very bottom of the article, I'm going to say our location, and I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to hit update, and I'm going to hit view page. Now notice we're missing a little bit of information here, like the logo is gone for some reason. That's okay. What we really want to do is do what we did before, is test the structured data tool. So we're going to go to structured data testing tool. And I want to pick up the URL here, and I want to test this. So recall that we could put in our actual source code or a URL, and it'll crawl the URL. So I'm going to just say fetch URL. I'm going to place this here, and let's see if this is working correctly. All good, right? So it's picking up all this stuff. It's got my logo, it's got my business name, it's got my address, and we're going to pretend that this is in Long Beach, obviously. And where we run into a little bit of a snag, I would say, with multiple location websites is, you know, our photos we've got to do kind of one by one. So we might have 1 or 2 photos where we have gone through the Picasa process and we've uploaded them and we've geotagged them for Long Beach, and then we've gone and we've saved those photos with our Long Beach NAP information inside the photo. And what do we do with those, right? So in that case, because we have multiple locations, we're going to want to do things a little bit differently. We would want to put that on our Long Beach page. And in that case, we might not put that exact photo on our actual, topic page. Like family law attorney, notice we had a photo here that directly matched family law attorney Irvine, for instance, which tied into our Irvine listing. What we can do is on our Long Beach page, we can have one or two photos that are geotagged for Long Beach and that, match our categories. I wouldn't overdo it with more than probably two photos. Maybe one is, I would pick a couple categories that are your main categories: divorce lawyer, family law attorney. Name the files, family law attorney, Irvine, California, Long Beach, California, divorce lawyer, Long Beach, California. Add one at the beginning of the content, one at the end of the content. And in that case, because it's a multi-location site, you probably wouldn't put those photos on this page here. You'd have it on the actual city page, if that makes sense. So one or two photos per city page. And then all you're going to do is repeat the process. You're going to, instead of embedding the map in the footer, you're going to embed the map just below the schema markup on the actual page itself. You're going to have a link over to the Google page for Long Beach just under the map. So same order, it's just that you're putting it on the page. You don't want to put it in the footer because then it becomes a site-wide kind of indicator that, let's say that I put my Long Beach info here, the site's going to, or Google's going to think my entire site's about Long Beach, even though I have 10 locations. So you want nothing in the footer in that case. You don't want any kind of location information. You just want to do it here inside of your content. Add a couple photos that have already been geotagged. Name them the way I taught you to name them. Add your new NAP for Long Beach, and then if you have another city, repeat the process. Try to choose some different photos, things like that. And that's really it, guys. That's all you have to do for multi-location listings. And then obviously you have to take each listing as its own listing. You have to do the research for each listing. So is it a blended algorithm or is it not a blended algorithm? In most cases, it will likely be. If it was in one city, it's probably going to be in another city. You have to build citations directly to this page here rather than the home page, just like I taught you. If you had just a single location, you have to make sure that this is starting to rank well. So you have to, make sure that your on-site structure is done very, very well. You've got your interlinking properly. You've got your silos set up. You've got to start to rank very well for the most part to overcome the blended algorithm. So you're going to be doing all the same things. You're just going to be doing them on a page-by-page basis. So it gets a little overwhelming, but the rewards can be giant. When you're working with a multi-location business, they usually have pretty big budgets, and they're willing to pay you for that. You can oftentimes start them off small where you're going to rank them for one or two specific cities, and when they see how well you're doing, oftentimes, like I can get clients to up their budget like that and take over all 10 locations. So, that's a good foot in the door strategy where you just say, hey, we're going to start smaller budget. I'm going to prove myself. We're going to get these 2 locations ranked. And once we do, then we're going to come back to you and we're going to talk to you about your other locations. And now you've proved yourself and, they're more apt to hand you more money. So hopefully that's been helpful. I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to go through the process of getting an address. I get asked this question over and over and over again. How do I get an address in an area where I am not located? I've got a rank and rent site. I've got a pay-per-lead site. I've got a client who, is nearby but wants to have, additional presence, or I've got a client nearby and I'd like to impress that client and send them more leads by getting a maps listing in a nearby area, for instance. So what I'm going to teach you works not only for physical location businesses, not only actual businesses that have physical locations, but businesses where it would be expected for them to have a physical location. So what I'm talking about there is, not client sites, but you're doing lead gen, you're doing rank and rent, you're doing pay per lead, but the type of business that you're generating leads for, the expectation is they would have a physical address in town. Think dentists, lawyers, CPAs, anybody that you would send leads to where they're not going to be working out of their house, guys, like a service-based business. They're not going out to people to visit them. The expectation is they would have a physical address in town. So even though they're not really going to have a physical address in town, we're going to go out and we're going to buy one or rent one. This will work very well for them. It's also going to work very, very well for service-based addresses because, obviously a service-based address, as I'm going to show you in the next video, they can hide their address. And in fact, they have to hide their address when they get listed on maps. But a lot of those people don't want to use their home address, or maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe you're doing pay per lead or some sort of lead gen for a service-based business, and they don't want to give up a home address, whoever you're going to be selling leads to, and whoever you sell leads to, by the way, could change over time. And my point is that they may not be willing to give up their address because you're going to have to build citations to that address regardless of whether Google shows the address or not. So in a service-based situation, they're not showing that address. But guess what, guys? You still have to build citations to that address, which means that that person's home address is going to be all over the web on citation sources. We don't want that. So I recommend always getting a physical address of some sort in town. And there's good ways and bad ways to go about that. I'm going to show you, the best way that I've found to do it. Really quickly, let's get this out of the way. Let's clear this up. Another question I get all the time is, hey, I've heard that using a virtual office or, address in town that's not a real physical building, physical address, that somebody would work at, it's not their own location. It's like a virtual office that houses lots and lots of different businesses. Guys, I hear this all the time. Do they work anymore? Brian, I've heard that those don't work at all, that you're never going to get listed. It's not going to work. And nothing could be further from the truth. Let's just dispel that myth right now. Virtual offices are not going away anytime soon. Google realizes that, probably 50% of the workforce out there has a virtual office. They go and they see people on occasion at a virtual office because maybe they don't need to rent $3,000 a month space. They want to spend $400 or $500 a month and show up every once in a while. Or even, sometimes virtual offices or executive suites, for instance, are $500 a month, and you're there full time. So Google realizes that this occurs all the time. So they're not just going to say, okay, all virtual offices, nope, you can't get on maps. Sorry. That's not going to happen. What they have done is they've taken a stance on PO boxes and to some extent UPS store boxes. If you think about it, if you and I can go on Google Maps, type in an address that's a UPS store and go to Street View and see that it's a UPS store, do you think that Google can do it? The answer is obviously yes. It's not that hard. So if you're trying to pass off a UPS store as a physical address, I wouldn't do it. I would definitely not try a PO box with anything. They just don't work very much at all. You will see some occasions where UPS store stuff works, where PO boxes work. So, don't scream at me or don't email me and tell me, but I've seen this work. I see all sorts of stuff work on maps. There's all sorts of theories out there that this works, and stuff works, guys, for a period of time sometimes on maps. Keyword stuffing inside of the business name also works right now, but it's completely against Google's rules. And I've seen listings get de-indexed many times. It's just that they haven't caught up with the people who are using descriptors, what they call descriptors, in their business name. So people might put, ABC company dash, whatever, I don't know, plumbing, plumbing services is maybe their main keyword. And they would stuff that into their listing. Does that work sometimes? Absolutely. Will it get you ranked quickly? Sometimes I've seen it get people ranked very quickly. But if you're concerned with any kind of longevity, which you should be, these are assets that you're building up, I wouldn't go there. Same thing is true of using things like UPS stores and PO boxes. I wouldn't go there. So even though, we could probably get away with it, I wouldn't do it. Now with a service-based business, you might be able to get away with a UPS type of, UPS box or something like that for maybe indefinitely. I don't know. Because the realization from Google is that you're going to be hiding your address anyway, and people in the service-based business, they know that people sometimes work from their homes and they go visit people at their location, and Google understands that people build citations and that they don't want their home address out there. So you might be able to get away with it for a service-based business, but what I'm going to show you is a little bit cooler. Actually, it's a good method. I'm not even sure if UPS does this. They might. But I think UPS is actually a little more expensive for the method that I'm going to show you. So you want a real physical address regardless of whether it's a service business or a physical business. And you can go to the Regis's of the world, which is a very large virtual office, and they'll give you a mailbox and they'll give you mail forwarding, physical mail forwarding. You're going to pay dearly for it, which is, do you really want to pay $400 to be able to get one piece of mail forwarded just to get a postcard? And I'm guessing no, you don't. So, something like Regis, the last time I checked, they wanted a year-long contract at about $99 a month just to receive mail and forward it. And then if you want it just for 3 months, it goes up to something like $119. So I don't know about you. I'm not spending $350 or whatever that is, $375 to get one piece of frickin' mail. So I'm going to show you a trick that I've used. It doesn't work in every city because these addresses are not available in every city. But this is a good technique, especially for service-based businesses, because we're going to be setting a radius for a service-based business. Where those guys will go out and they'll service 20 or 50 miles around where they live. So in other words, if you don't see your address in the exact town that you want, maybe you see it in a nearby town. And the point is that you want to have it fairly close by. It doesn't have to be exactly the same town. You just want to have it in the region. So I could certainly, I'm sitting in Las Vegas, Nevada. I could easily, set up a listing in Overland Park, Kansas, and receive my mail in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then later on just reset my radius targeting to Overland Park. Is that going to look natural? The answer is no, of course it's not. Why would somebody in Overland Park in Las Vegas have a business in Overland Park? It just reeks of lead gen stuff, right? Which Google is all over. You got to be very careful with that. So, there's ways to get around that. I'm not going to go into that. I just wouldn't do it. I would get something in the region to be able to receive your Google postcard. And I want to do it very, very inexpensively. So all I did was I searched for Overland Park virtual mailbox. And you will notice that you're going to see a wide variety of things here, right? You're going to see, postal mailbox. Virtual office mail starting at $14.95 a month. That might be something good with mail forwarding. Things with virtual offices in the title, typically not what you're going to want. Although if you've dug through a lot of these and you're not finding what you want, keep digging until you do. I'm going to cut to the chase here and just show you I actually found one right here. So when I click on this meets my criteria. It's talking about a virtual mailing address. I can choose it from the largest digital mailbox network in the U.S. Your virtual mailing address lets you manage your postal mail packages from your smartphone, tablet, online. That means they're going to scan it, all that stuff. So that's what I want. I don't want to wait for forwarding of physical mail. When it comes in, they're going to actually scan this stuff, and I can view it online and get my PIN. And within a week or something, when the PIN comes in, I've got my listing claimed and verified, ready to roll. Okay. So what we're going to do is you want to scroll through these sites and first off figure out, do they even have, a location where we want it? So let's look at locations here. And if I just scroll down to Kansas, right there, they've got a virtual address in Kansas. So now if you're really paranoid and you're doing a physical address, this does not matter at all really for service-based businesses, because again, Google knows that people hide their address, and that's okay. But we're going to be building citations to this, so they understand that we don't want to use our home address or whatever. If you're paranoid about it being a physical address, I would go to maps.google.com. And I would punch this in, and let's just take a look at what Antioch Road is. What does this look like? What is this building? And this will help us make more of a decision on, whether or not we should pick this up as a physical address. So let's see here. We've got 2641. We've got 2641 Antioch Road in Overland Park. Let's drag this over to here and see if I can get it to pull up a street view really quickly. I just kind of want to see exactly what's in this center. Okay, hang on one second, guys. Let's just get over to a street view here. Okay, here we are. So it's probably this little mail and copy shop is my guess. It doesn't have a suite number though. So it's okay. I mean, I guess it's without a suite number, it's probably more believable that this could possibly be a physical address. I mean, if somebody really scrutinized it, it might not pass muster. But for a service-based address, this is going to be just fine. And again, for our purposes, we just want something that's a real physical address, and that's, we're going to be able to get our mail inexpensively, and we're going to be able to get it on a digital basis, okay? So they have an address where we want. Let's go back to plans here, see what they have. So $9.99 a month. If you sign up, you're going to get 30 mail items per month. So you would just go through that process. I'll tell you right now, depending on the state, I think there are some U.S. Postal Office rules where you might have to sign some paperwork and go get it notarized, which can be a little bit of a hassle. But guys, look, it's a lot easier than not having an address and not getting what you want, not being able to set up a listing. It's going to cost you more. So a lot of times these places will have online, some online forms from the USPS that you have to sign. Some of them will make you print them out, go get them notarized, scan them, and upload them. What's that going to take you? Maybe 30 minutes of your time or something like that? It's well worth it. And sometimes they don't even require it at all. So I would pick up this package right here, $10, guys. I'm going to get, an address, a physical address. I'm going to get a digital mailbox where they're going to scan my mail, and I'm going to be able to read it online and quickly claim my listing. So that's the key right there. So hopefully this has been helpful. There's lots of other ways to get mailboxes. If you can't find something in your town, find something nearby. If you really need a physical address in your town, I would suggest looking for the cheapest virtual office you can find, something that doesn't require a contract, or something that's, you know, $59 a month rather than $120 a month, like the Regis's of the world, and go with that. You know, if you really need something that's more of a virtual office situation because you need additional physical locations, or you need a physical location, but even something like this, you know, is pretty good. You know, if Google scrutinized it really heavily as a physical office, yeah, there's a possibility that, you know, it may not work forever if you did it this way. But this is really going to work very, very well for service-based addresses, for very inexpensively. Because guys, guess what? If there is no contract on this, which I haven't looked at, and most of the time they're month to month, within a month I can get my, you know, within a week I can get my address, and then I can just cancel this and I'm done for $10. So that's the key right there. Okay. If, you know, you can look for other ways. I know people will go out and, you know, you can pay somebody on Craigslist to verify a piece of mail for you if you need a physical address. And we'll talk about shared office space later and how that works in some of the troubleshooting sections. But, you know, suffice it to say, one of the biggest stumbling blocks is people have a fear of getting an address, so they have no knowledge of how to get an address. There's lots of ways to go and get an address. This is the easiest way that I know. I always start here, and then if I can't get one, then I'm going to start looking at other methods like virtual offices, shared addresses where I can pay somebody on Craigslist to receive a piece of mail for me, and they don't care that I just use their address because maybe it's a, I don't know, it's a warehouse, or it's a, you know, it's an office that they're not there very often. They just don't care if it gets associated with something else, with a different business. So we'll get into all that. In the next video, we're going to go through service-based businesses and setting those up. So I'll see you over there. All right, guys, welcome back. So this is a service-based business. This is basically a rank and rent, or maybe even a pay-per-lead site. I don't know yet. So this is a site that I created called Fix Your Basement, and it is basically obviously a basement remodeling and refinishing business. You know, the idea came from Home Advisor, where the average job value for these people is $20,000 to $30,000. You know, you can go into a lot of detail about what's their profit margin to be able to figure out what you're going to charge them, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now. Mark does a fantastic job of analyzing these details in advance, so you know what niches you should be going after. Over in our local profit breakthrough members area, he's got a whole section on that. So I suggest you head over there, you know, and check that out, because it's really going to help you figure out what you should be priced at for your leads, or what you should charge for your sites, because you'll know more about the person's numbers sometimes than they know about their numbers. You know, you need to know what their margins are. So it's not enough to say, well, these guys make $20,000 or $30,000 a job. Well, what's their overhead? What's their profit? What can they afford to invest? So that's a very important consideration. We're not going to get into that right now. All we're going to do is, I want to show you the steps I go through for setting up a service-based business. And in this case, for a pay-per-lead or rank and rent type of model. Site's already created. You can see I don't have any kind of actual phone number yet, but I'm going to need one to create a business, or to create a listing. So I'm going to go over to CallFire, and you can use, you know, CallFire, Act Analytic Call Tracking, which is Joe Troyer's product. I suggest you pick that up if you are getting highly into, you know, rank and rent types of stuff. I'm just going to keep this simple for now, and just go and pick up a number. So I'm in my CallFire account. All I'm going to want to do is go over here, and I want to search for Overland Park area codes. So it's area code 913. Another trick I like to use, because sometimes there's multiple area codes, is I will just type in Overland Park like this. And usually the first thing that's going to come up is a government listing. It's going to be the City of Overland Park, you know, government page. Yep, City of Overland Park. So what I want to do is I want to see if there's multiple area codes. I want to see where the city government falls in within those area codes. You know, are they a 913 number? Are they something else? Obviously, in this case, it's all 913, but there's many times where there's 4 and 5 area codes. And this is sort of a trick that I learned where the government, the courthouse, all these things will tend to have the exact same area code. The police department, and guess where those are located? The center of town. And although it matters much less than it used to, it's very good to try to get something in the center of town if you can, just because, you know, that used to be part of Google's algorithm. It still is to some extent. Some people still tell me they see listings do better when they're near the center of town than not. It's much more geo-specific than that now because everything is based on mobile phones. And so a lot of times your result is served up or not served up based on where that person is searching from their mobile phone, if that makes sense. But, you know, for a service-based business and in general, it definitely can help to have something in the center of town. So I suggest you take that extra step if there's multiple area codes and go with the area code that makes sense where the government is located. Government buildings are almost always center of town, downtown somewhere. So in this case, it's just 913. So all I'm going to do is search by area code inside of CallFire and hit 9. So type in 913 and I'm going to hit search. And let's see here what I'm doing wrong. Enter a city or zip code for your search. Okay, we'll just enter a city. I don't know why. It usually doesn't ask us. Overland Park. Let's do that and see if it picks it up here. This is something a little new in CallFire. Usually just ask for an area code. It figures it out. They don't care. You're just picking up a phone number. They usually don't really care at all. So let's let this spin for a second. It's going to give me a choice of different phone numbers. I really don't care because we're just going to be forwarding it to whoever ends up either renting our site or buying leads from us. So I'm just going to pick the first one, and it's going to say purchase number, and I'm going to hit confirm purchase. Card processing error. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just see what's going on here. I think maybe my card might have, no, it hasn't expired. I don't know what's going on. Give me 1 second. I just want to pick up this number so I can show you real quick. Okay, so I fixed that issue and I've purchased the phone number. So basically, we would just hit return to CallFire. It's going to show me a list of all my numbers. I don't want all my numbers being broadcast out. So I'm going to hit pause while I go and grab the actual phone number that I just purchased. So give me 1 second to get that. Okay, so I got my phone number that I just purchased from CallFire. The next thing we need to do is we're going to have to set up a brand new Google account. Gmail account, because we're going to be operating from that. Okay, so what I recommend is before you do that, clear everything, clear your history, cache, cookies, all that stuff. On Firefox, you just hit history, clear history, and you're going to do all this. Clear now. So give it 1 second to do this. Chrome and Internet Explorer obviously going to be a little bit different. No big deal. Just figure out how to clear everything. And if you're really ultra paranoid, which I know some people are, that's fine. You're going to want to take it a step further and either use a proxy, a VPN, something like that to set these up. I would only recommend that if you're setting up multiple locations all in one day. It's really not a big deal to just do this, to set it up with the method that I'm showing you. Not a big deal at all. Okay, so I need to create an account. And I'm going to hit pause while I do this, and I'll just show you kind of the end result so you don't have to sit here and watch me create an account. All right, I'm back. So I just created, I just used a fictitious name on this and set up a Gmail account, just matching exactly the name of my site, fixyourbasement@gmail.com. This can tie into later strategies of things I've taught you before if we need it, like setting up authoritative accounts on Blogger, YouTube. You know, I could have a YouTube channel, Fix Your Basement. I could have Blogger, Fix Your Basement at blogspot.com. And, you know, and we can take it even further than that when I show you the method that we use to create, you know, something like 20 different sites that are all interlinked with these profiles, you know, Fix Your Basement. It's a branded sort of network that we can use. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to set up a listing. I'm already signed in. So I'm just going to come over here to google.com/business. And it's going to say get on Google. Sometimes it'll make you sign in again. Now I want to search by the business name, Fix Your Basement, Overland Park. That's fine. We'll just hit on I correctly enter the name and address. So, name of the business, Fix Your Basement. By the way, guys, I recommend that you use what could be considered a branded term for not only your website and ranking purposes, but just in general, you know, for things like the networks that we've talked about setting up that all match each other, for your maps listing, it just looks more legitimate. The more you look like a rank and rent business or a pay-per-lead business because you're called Overland Park Basement Remodeling, you know, that stuff just doesn't fly very well anymore. You're not going to get ranked as well as you would with a brand name. So go out and choose something that doesn't exist. It doesn't have to have your city in there, although sometimes partial match domains are fine. So I could have Fix Your Basement Kansas, you know, if I'm just in Overland Park, you know, Fix Your Basement Overland Park. Or you could use some sort of branded, or not branded, but, you know, partial match domain term where, you know, if your term is Overland Park Basement Remodeling, you know, maybe it's Overland Park Basement Remodeling Pros or something like that. So that's kind of a partial match domain where I've got my main keyword in there, but it's also branded. It's believable that it's a brand, right? So Fix Your Basement is not a real company. It's just a fictitious company that I've created essentially to rank and rent or sell leads from. So just keep that in mind. Branded always trumps, you know, just keyword stuffed anything. And so from there, what I want to do is I want to enter in the street address of what I'm going to be buying here. I haven't even bought it yet, and that's okay. We can buy this after we set up our address. So there's my address that I just found in Overland Park from the virtual mailbox place. I am going to enter in all these details. Sorry about that. City, Overland Park, Kansas. Let's go up here. Here we go. And we want the zip code. Got that. Enter the zip code. Main business phone. I have now cleared that, so I need to grab that one more time. I'll be right back. All right, I grabbed that phone number. Sorry about that. So I'm going to put that right here. So I'm just going to double check this really quickly. Fix Your Basement is the name of the business. US, here's the street address. City, Overland Park, Kansas. Zip code. Main business phone. Now let's see if there's anything about basements. Basement remodeling. Probably not going to be. It's very specific. There's absolutely nothing that looks like about basements at all. And so I'm probably going to go with the more broad category just to get listed of home remodeling. And they don't even have home remodeling, which is actually pretty surprising. Home contractor. Let's see what they have for home in general. Let's just take a look. Home improvement, home inspector, no. Home insurance, no. Manufactured home, home dealer. Let's look at just contractor, okay? Fence, flooring, heating, mobile. So we're gonna go with just general contractor for now, because oftentimes general contractors will be the ones that will buy these leads. In other words, there's not a lot of basement companies out there that's all they do, but there's a lot of general contractors out there where they do home remodeling projects, and as part of the home remodeling project, they're very well equipped to do basement remodeling projects. So that might be who I want to sell to. And once we get our listing verified, I'm going to go back in and try to find every variation that I can of contractor and anything else I can find. Now look, I'm going to click this, very important. I deliver goods and services to my customers at their location. If you're a service business, you have to click this. I'm going to click that right here. I'm going to hit continue. And then it's going to ask for sort of a radius. My business delivers goods and services to customers within this area. I could put a city, or I could put within X number of miles of my business. I'm going to say, let's say 40 miles. Let's actually say 50 miles. You don't want to get too crazy and say, yeah, I service within, 300 miles of my business. I wouldn't do that. So put something that makes sense. I know from doing past research that the cities that I have are within Johnson County, and I'm going to be, essentially trying to service maybe a 50 square mile radius around that. So I'm going to put 50. I do not also serve customers at my own business address. That's a choice that you have too. Some people do that. They have a real warehouse, or they have an office space where people can come in, but then they also go out and they service people at their address. We don't want that. I'm going to hit continue. Let me hit cancel. It says somebody else has verified this listing. It says this following business looks similar to your business. Is one of them yours? And the reason is that look, address hidden for privacy. This is a different address. I don't have any idea why they would associate this address with that address, or this one with the one that I just chose. This one could be, who knows? It looks to me more like Google's algorithm is just saying, hey, it looks similar to this one. Not that somebody's using that exact address. No one's using that name. I know that. None of these match. Keep the information that I entered. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm the authorized person to manage the business. So I'm going to hit agree. I'm going to hit continue. Now it's going to give me an option, or it should give me an option to, hang on one second here. Okay, so I need to have the code mailed to me to be verified, and then I want to have it click verify the code. And it's going to give me the option of an optional contact name. So in this case, I'm going to put my real name, because I've used a virtual address where they need to be able to, when I sign up for this virtual address, it's not going to be under my fictitious name that I'm going to be using across other properties. I'm going to have to use my real name, obviously, to check out with a credit card, and for them to actually receive my mail, and the possibility of me having to fill out the UPS or USPS form that I told you about. I've got to use my real name. I can't use a fictitious name that I'm going to use, across everything else. So, and that's okay. And even if I use my real name across everything else, that's fine too. It's not the end of the world. But I want it to say, attention, my name, fix your basement to my address, send postcard. I'm going to do that, and it'll appear as unverified. So then I'm done. We'll come back at some point, and we will, once I get that code, we will set all of that up and go through the category listing. But we're essentially set up for a service-based business, guys. We have it set up to go within 50 miles. So all I need to do at this point is get my my postcard, enter my code, go through the exact process that I taught you before of optimizing the listing, and then we're off and running with building citations like I taught you. And something like this is not going to be that hard to rank for. In maps, we're probably not going to have to take a lot of the additional steps that I taught you. The only thing that I would do is I would go back onto the site and I would add my new phone number in schema. I would add a map once we're verified and we know that our live listing's verified. Same thing with schema. We want to make sure that the live listing's verified with our exact address, and add the map and the Google Plus badge or link over to the Google Plus page and all of your schema stuff here once you're verified, and that's it. And then we're off and running. So we'll come back to this and we'll test it later to see how it's doing. But I just wanted to show you this process. So let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'll talk to you soon.